Hey everybody, today's day 9 of Advent Reflections. Today I'm going to read from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 2. And this is actually after Jesus has been born. It's when Jesus' parents, as any good Jewish parents, take Jesus to the temple in Jerusalem to offer a sacrifice of thanksgiving to God for the gift of a child. And after they've offered the sacrifice, they run into this guy named Simeon, who's this old man who's been hanging around the Jewish temple for a long time, waiting to see God's salvation. So this is after Jesus has been born, but it tells us something about who Jesus is, the one that we celebrate during Advent. And so from Luke chapter 2, it says, when the time came for the purification according to the law of Moses, they brought Jesus up to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord, and to offer a sacrifice according to what is said in the law. Now there was a man in Jerusalem whose name was Simeon, and this man was righteous and devout, waiting for the redemption of his people. And the Holy Spirit was upon him. And it was revealed to him by the Holy Spirit that he would not see death before he had seen God's Messiah. And he came into the temple, and when the parents brought in the child Jesus to do according to the custom of the law, he took Jesus up in his arms and blessed God and said, Lord, now you can let your servant depart in peace, according to your word. For my eyes have seen your salvation, that you have prepared in the presence of all people a light for the Gentiles and glory to your people Israel. This story is fascinating because it tells us something about this thing we celebrate during Advent. Uh, Simeon was waiting and waiting and waiting to experience God's salvation. And when he does, it's not this idea of like this personal salvation for his sins. It's something much bigger than the life of Simeon. It's much bigger than just his own salvation. The salvation of Jesus, the thing we wait for, the thing we're reminded of, is something for the whole world, for all people. It's way bigger than us. And it's interesting that Simeon, once he sees Jesus, just as even a baby, he basically says to God, God, you can let me go now. Simeon knew that God's salvation has come, even though he didn't really experience it in a personal way. And for us, we wait for Jesus during Advent. And what do we wait for? We're reminded that we wait for God's salvation for the whole world, to redeem the whole world. That includes us, but it's much bigger than us too. And so some days we don't feel like we've experienced God's salvation. Some days we don't feel like Jesus has come in this world to be human and to walk among us to save us. But my friends, that doesn't mean it hasn't happened. That doesn't mean it's not real. It's bigger than us, and it includes us too. Remember that as we continue to reflect on Advent and on what it means for Jesus to come into this world. Hope you have a good day.